PGL is here to stay, but will it last? Will it not? We don't know. Verdict is out. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss Hawaii. We're going to discuss YouTube creators and the PGA Tour. You have found Quiet Please, the golf podcast. I am Alan Depew, and our panel, as always, experts in their fields. The ever-present one, golfing savant, hailing out of Houston, Andy Hydorn.
Yes, gentlemen, nice to be with you today.
Joining him also on the first tee, Mr. Bob Baldessari.
With my hat, because I'm
With
wicked
your hat,
cold.
because it's wicked cold. Yes.
Wicked cold in Kentucky. I need more bourbon.
Yes. Author, golf correspondent, teacher of young golfers, Mr. Brendan Elliott. Good to see you, BE.
Good afternoon.
And folks, if you're listening to us on the podcast, just give us a little 5 if you don't mind there, and a little follow. Drop us some comments. If watching on our new YouTube channel, subscribe. Please share it with us. Always want some comments, feedback. Boys, I'm gonna defer. I'm deferring on the first tee here. Andy, I did not actually watch any TGL. I was out and about, probably catching this cold I got. And but I saw it all over social media.
I'm blown away that you didn't see
I know.
any of it.
I know.
But, I got in trouble from my significant other for staying up a little later than I should have. But it was good. I I think we can get into some of the details, but like I felt like it was engaging. I thought they were trying a little too hard with the introductions and all that stuff. But I think
Walkout music.
yeah, I think that's part of what the world is today anyway. But I thought in general it was pretty good, and I had one of my best pals who was actually there, and said the vibe inside was really good.
B, I did get to see actually again on social. Tiger, one shot hits the camera.
I missed that, but
You
I
didn't
did
see that?
watch.
Oh, that was no. This was all over social media. They were talking about how,
Uh,
him and Rory, they're there, they're having this conversation, and I guess the reporter said he hit it into the screen, and somebody said, "Well, can you hit the camera up there?" One shot, clipped it.
nice.
And Brendan should never miss anything that Tiger does.
Yeah,
So
well, I was gonna say,
I'm a little surprised
that's
at
why
that.
that's why there was that awkward silence for a moment because I mean that
Well,
never happens.
I'm trying to show my Tiger hoodie. You like that?
There you go.
Very
Yep.
nice, excellent, excellent.
It was good. I mean, we're gonna all have to get used to it and get used to the rules. I still don't know what the hammer means. I wasn't paying attention when they explained it, but what I wrote about the other day was the walk-up music, the shot clock, all that stuff is stuff we'll have to get used to, but it's still the best players in the world hitting golf shots, which is fun. It's cool to see it, and that team environment is pretty cool. And of course, your live people are going to say, the team environment. I thought you hated that. This is not the same. Not at all the same.
No, we just hate you at Live.
Right. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Bobby, was it the fast-paced format for the fans?
Uh, yeah. So I'm like you. I think I did 5 hours of shoveling, caught a cold or something, and I went to bed early. And I did not see it, but I read quite a bit of social media comments talking to you guys about it. I did hear about this pace of play that the full swing was a little bit not as quick as I thought. They like the shot clock. I saw the comments about the use of technology is good, but if this is the new golf, I don't like it. Some people are more traditional golf. It's going to be a blend of everything the first time out. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. Like Brendan said, you have to let this thing play out. You got to refine it. You got to let it take its course and let everybody see what they like. But I always go back historically to when you couldn't wear a jacket and a tie, the game was going down the shitter. If you were going from the the persimmon era to the metalwood era. Every time there's a change in golf, some people freak out. The game is going crazy. There's Andy Laney in, and so it takes some time to acclimate. And believe me, I wanted to watch this thing, and I just didn't feel good, and I ended up falling asleep, so I missed it. But it was really interesting to get a feel for the consumer out there on different social platforms, reading all the comments. It was pretty interesting.
Well, it was all, I mean, for any of it, chime in. Technology driven. I mean, that was the whole premise of this thing, right? Engaging, fast-paced fans, technology driven. Did it hit the marks, Mr. Hydorn?
Well, I got a bunch of things to say here. So the first part is let's not go to the point where we think this is a substitution for golf or the future of golf, because that's just not what this is. This is another way to play the game of golf. And it's cool how they did it. Um, I think one of the issues that a lot of like conservative golfers have about live is that live is real golf and they don't like the changes that they've done to real golf. Like I don't know that anybody looks at the TGL and says, well, the music and the noise and the things that they can complain about live, they're not going to complain about that because it's virtual golf, right? So I think that's an important thing to kind of throw out there. I think another thing that's super important too is the technology, like we talked about, is really on steroids compared to what else is out there. These small bays that the 5-iron golfs of the world have. That's all great, and the virtual part of what they do is all great, the SkyTrack stuff. But this was stadium sized, which was really cool. And I'm going to go back to events and venues here because I think this is important. And I don't know what the deal is either, but I believe that for this to really be cool going forward, you have to recognize which holes you're playing. I think the holes were creative. They weren't necessarily all golf holes. They were different. But if you can come to be familiar with what's on the screen and how to play it, I think that's where people will start to grab onto this and say, I like it. This hole, the one hole was shaped kind of like a diamond. Um, Things like that, I think, are really cool if you start to get familiarity with what you're dealing with from week to week and get a path on how to play those virtual holes. I think is super cool.
Well, the holes maybe didn't, but the SoFi bubble dome, whatever you want to call it, was getting some rave reviews, wasn't it?
Yeah, that short game area is disgustingly good. I mean, the way that it adjusts and morphs based on where they are on the screen as they transfer over to that, what, 50 yards and in,
Mhm.
it's just phenomenal.
I think it's super tricky too. Like the guys were struggling with the grain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as the thing rotates, the grain obviously rotates too. So there are some shots that are down grain, but once you rotate it, they're going to be into the grain. And they were definitely struggling with some of those shots. The bunker shots, maybe Ricky was just hitting terrible bunker shots, but like there's definitely an acclimation process that they need to go through to get comfortable with this. The one last thing I'll say is I feel like the fact that it was such a blowout, the competition was such a blowout, took a lot away from what it could be. So I think going forward, to see matches that come down to the wire that are, kind of nip and tuck back and forth, I think that's going to make it even more interesting. But
Andy, I have to correct you there, my friend. Me and you, and even Alan, New Englanders, we
mhm.
thrive when New York teams get blown out. That was beautiful. That part was beautiful. The New York team gets blown out every match. There's nothing better.
Fair enough.
Well,
So You're all in with Boston then, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, Five Iron Golf actually bought a stake, or I believe, or sponsored the New York team, and are making their indoor simulator lounges as official watch locations to come in and watch. I think that's
Yeah.
cool. I think
Yeah.
this is just another version of we've talked about Skins Game, PNC. It's another version of made for TV golf experience, and it's cool. It's different. Will it have sustainability? I don't know. Will it get a massive blip? I believe it's this week coming up when TW steps up on stage himself. As one person posted, he may not be able to walk, 100-foot elevation drop at Augusta at this point in his career because of his injuries, but he's still got some sick hands.
And I'm
So,
Yeah.
wondering if the exposure on ESPN, how much that'll play into it too. Because when something's on Golf Channel, unless you're a golf fan, you're not going to tune into something like that.
well, ESPN needs a little help with a lot of their programming right now, so that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, but to Brendan's point, like they had a big chunk of viewership for that inaugural event the other night. Like they had really
I think it was like
good numbers.
1.6 million sustained. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
crazy number of people that
Yep.
were actually watching it.
Yep. And I think there's a potential for them to have gotten this right. I really do.
All right, so like a la Siskel and Ebert, are we giving thumbs up from BE? Thumbs up. I
I got
can't.
one.
I can't. I didn't see it. I abstain. I vote present.
Well, again, I think there's a lot more to unfold here with this, but I do believe that there's a lot of good here. A lot of good.
So morphing that into, well, the beverage cart's here. Let's just, before we move forward, let's take a little pause. Andy, tell us about beverages. What do you know about beverages?
Well, I have a little intimate knowledge about beverages, especially in the world of premium cocktail mixers too. So if you're out there looking to mix a nice cocktail for yourself or even a non-alcoholic cocktail, there's some really good choices of awesome Q premium mixers out there of ginger beers and tonic waters and even simple things like club soda and margaritas and all sorts of cool things to mix your favorite spirit with and come up with some pretty awesome cocktails.
Refreshing, and you know who loves those? YouTube creators. Any of you guys catch that this week? It was a
Did.
very subtle little press release. Not a big deal was made of it. PGA Tour is going to be doing a YouTube creators series BE. I guess the best way to describe it.
I believe it's what, three events?
I think so. May even
Um,
morph into more than that. But yes.
well, you can't start talking about the YouTube creator world without saying Tiger Woods made his first appearance on a one of the YouTubers channels. He was on Grant Horvat's channel, and that was pretty cool to see him talking about, hitting Woods off the deck and how he goes about hitting a driver.
Let me
But
put
I
a
think,
pause on that. The boys from over at our foreplay may beg to differ that TW
oh,
was
that's right. That's right. They did have him
yes.
in the same
Because he
setting.
because he mocked the shit out of their horrible golf games.
That's right. That is right. I forgot about that one.
Because
But
they're
look, I
buddies.
mean, the PGA Tour has embraced this, and it's about time that they embrace it, because there's just a throng of people that are non-golfers that tune into the guys on Bob Does Sports, and it's about personalities, and these guys not only are good golfers, well, some of them. Bob's not a great golfer. Neither is Joey Colcutt. He's okay, but the personalities are really driving. And I don't care if it's TGL or a celebrity playing with Bryson DeChambeau. They're all set in golf, and I think that's going to be, for the long term, it's going to help our game.
I mean, Bobby, the personalities obviously B referenced it. I mean, TW and Grant were striping it. I mean, they're putting on a stripe show. There's just a lot of there's a lot of personalities. Actually I said Bob, but yeah, any one of you guys. Who's your personal favorites?
Yeah, Bob Does Sports is mine.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, maybe I need to figure that out. I mean, I see a lot of them. I just sent you guys the one that been popping up lately. The guy was like sort of the rap song stuff. And
Jake Hutt. Yeah.
yeah. And then, we all had talked about the guy, the sort of caveman guy, whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Marouche. Marouche. Yeah. they all get their niche, I don't know. Maybe I should start one and come to you live from the bourbon distillery instead of the golf course.
Yeah.
Oh, so you could do like a bourbon side chat instead of fire pit.
There we go.
There are a lot of bad ones too, to be honest with you. Like I am flooded with this stuff because I love it. I love that whole, niche of online instruction. There's some really bad ones, which are almost as entertaining as the really good ones.
We need Yip. That's what we need.
Yep, it's good.
We do need the Yip.
Yeah.
You need Yip. But so guys, how are the creators going to shape the narrative then? I mean, not only around the specific events, but how are they going to shape the new future of the PGA Tour, in your opinions?
Well, you go to Andy's big thing about venues and events. Now you have these guys posting up the Wednesday before it, some of the best events on tour. So that's going to drag all those people in. Will it drag them into Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend? Who knows? But at least that's a question we can now ask. Before we couldn't ask that question.
Yeah, I think that's right.
How does it balance, or I'll ask our resident historian, how does it balance the traditionalist versus the new age golf?
Oh boy, I don't know. You think of some of the writers back to Dan Jenkins and even before there, Herbert Warren Wind, and those were the influences back in the time. If you get in their column, that was a big deal. I'm trying to think of the British writer way back when. I guess if you look at it, it's a little apples and oranges, but they were content creators, they were influencers, I mean, that's back in the day. The writers, any news journalists, whatever, food cooking. When you got that in print, it was like, oh, okay, that's got to be legit. Now you got video. Now it's a lot easier anybody to do that. Probably like TGL. It's still morphing through appearing to see what's going to work, what's going to settle. This AI coming out now. I mean, how does that influence as well? It's all moving target.
Well, I think the thing that's cool to me is that we've talked about it just in the legacy media is largely dead nowadays. I mean, everybody's got a phone, so therefore, and everybody's got a platform. So you're literally, direct to consumer with the narrative, and it's allowing the individual to shape their own narrative as well as interpret the narrative. Agree or disagree, Mr. Hydorn? You're pondering.
Agree. Look, I feel like the one thing that we don't really talk about much, but I think it's the glue that sticks everybody together in this game is gambling. So it's gambling in your groups, it's gambling on DraftKings. Like I think it's interesting and funny at the same time to watch the golf pro dudes, argue about the rules. And they're not playing in a tournament. Like it doesn't really matter. But what does matter to them is they're playing against their buddies, they're gambling. And I think gambling is the glue that sticks all this together, not just in golf, in all the sports at this stage of the game. I think it's such a huge, huge part of everything that keeps people interested in what's going on.
Which is why Bobby wants them to bring back the skins game playing for their own money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nothing like
Gambling BE is not allowed in Bushwood.
No, sir.
An odd of a slice.
And you know, when you say gambling, I know Brent and I talked about this on a youth side, but two kids going out, and I'm going to play Andy in a match play. Well, we play the first hole, I win. Andy carries my bag the next hole. You know, that's
gambling.
You know, it's a type of gambling. If it's playing for a Pepsi as a kid or a nickel or anything that gets you that competitive juice, that competitive edge, all that's good. You know, two retired guys going out to play literally for a penny, just anything like that. There's a bonding element to that, and then you get storytelling. You know, if you're just going out to play somehow you're going to win 7 cents off of Andy. First time I beat him in months. I'm telling that story for probably months.
Yeah. So there was a social media post that I saw the other day that was super interesting. And this is so emblematic of the way this generation thinks about golf. So it was this guy was posting about they were arguing in the group. There was a ball that they all kind of just assumed was in a certain area, and they let him take a drop, and then he hits a shot, and then 2 seconds later they find the other ball. Now they're arguing about how to proceed. Do you play the ball that you hit, or do you play the ball that you found? I think the ironic thing is, well, you made your own rule to take a drop anyway. And like you can do whatever the hell you want, right? And they're having this big argument about what's right and what's wrong. And the fact of the matter is, what's wrong is that you made up your own rule anyway. But that's also what's right too. And again, I see this all the time where they're arguing about what to do and how to apply the rules of golf when you're breaking the rules of golf on every other shot that you're hitting. It's just pretty comical.
Which none of them know anyway.
They don't.
Yeah, they never played by the rules. And then they get caught up in that. Here's my reimagined golf thing. Why are there even rules on a scorecard? Nobody plays by the rules. That's not helping you move the needle for more retention and loyalty. You know, that just drives me up with all these scorecards with all the, you know, out of bounds and this and that. It's like nobody pays attention to that. It's a waste of that area on the scorecard it should be used in a better way. That's my reimagined golf angle there.
What was the topic?
All right, well, I'm going to change the topic anyway. So making the turn here. We're making the turn and we're heading to Texas, not to see Andy, but we're heading to Frisco. Topic we have railed on a lot over the last, especially few weeks. They finally are really catching a lot of heat, Bobby, or BE, our resident PGA golf professionals. Don't get attacked by your association, my former association, Mr. Heidelberg. $500 million to build the cathedral in Frisco, Texas, when over half the U.S. population is on the East Coast. And questionable, marginal, kind of nice golf courses for $500 per round. Nothing screams, you know, inclusion into the game like a $500 round of golf in the Texas heat. So at this point, I'll just sit back with my little backdrop of Eagle Ridge behind me, and I'll let you guys tell me what you think about your association spending your money.
Well, this podcast just went to a 3-hour podcast.
Can't do that. Andy's got a meeting.
Yeah, and by the way, it's snowing in Dallas right now today. I don't think it's snowing in Port St. Lucie. So
demand-based pricing just took it down to 410 then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then the PGA Pro rate's about 300. So you get a discount. But actually, Omni put up all that hundreds of millions. So the PGA of America owns nothing there other than the 32, 33, $35 million building. Everything else is a lease deal. It's not. It's owned and operated by Omni. Omni created the logo. I mean, it's an Omni generated, Omni run facility. And hey, I was there in October for the Junior League Championship. It's a cool place. But the PGA America's headquarters is this mammoth big building that, yeah, again, it's one of the thoughts. It was easy to get in and out of Dallas, more central to the United States, but you still, if you fly into Dallas or Fort Worth, you're in a Uber or rental car, you still got to go a good half hour, 40 minutes north. Well, if you fly into West Palm Beach, you're 40 minutes up to Port St. Lucie. I just didn't understand or like a lot of what happened with that. Everything was really set in Port St. Lucie. I know I'm slightly biased. I was general manager of the complex there. What we had there was amazing. What we were doing was amazing at the time. I'm intimately knowledgeable about that. We had an incredible team. But different people come into power, different things happen. Now the PGA is out in Texas, and some, you wish for the best, but I just don't like the move.
BE?
I wasn't a fan of it, and not just because I know how it had affected a lot of people at HQ, including one of our own here on the podcast, but I just didn't see the necessity for something like this. And it's an association that's made up of members, like anything the PGA does. Shouldn't the members be the ones that discuss this and discuss the things that happens, even at a higher executive level? I think there should at least be some input from the boots on the ground members. I know this doesn't affect them personally, but it definitely, the ripple effects will affect them, like the financial burden of everything now. So I just wasn't a fan at all. And again, to Bobby's point, I'm sure it's a fantastic facility. And I'm sure that there's going to be more things that can be offered now with new facilities. Anytime you upgrade a facility, you're going to have that ability to do that. But what was it all for? I don't know.
Well, so you happen to have your PGA logo on your hat. Bobby's plaques, actually both of you guys' plaques are all over the walls. What was and Bobby, our resident historian, can probably speak to this. What was the founding principles of the PGA of America? Was it to grow the game, teach the game? What was there's so many dollars being spent in these initiatives, and this is where we probably go to a 3-hour podcast. But I mean, what was the founding? One of the reasons I got out, I told you guys on a previous show, $600 dues in like 1999. I couldn't afford that. So what's the objective of the PGA golf professional?
Yeah, I mean, it was twofold. It was really to basically the general wording is the PGA America is there to enhance the living and well-being of the PGA member, and there is a sort of a growth of the game aspect to it as well. And so we have that at PGA Village down at Port St. Lucie. I don't really know that that's there in Frisco because it's the rate to play as a PGA member. My discount on those golf courses is still hundreds of dollars. To stay at the hotel there, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's to use that learning center. It's a way different learning center. It doesn't even hold a candle to what we had at PGA Village. When I was at PGA Village, we had people around the world. I'm telling you, from Russia, China, twice from China, around the world that would come in. They didn't come in to see the golf courses. They wanted to see the Museum of Golf and the Learning Center because it was so unique, nothing like it in the world. And so that's a shame that went away. I had another thought. Shoot, it just escaped me. Oh, dang it, Alan. Oh, shoot. My brain is getting cold from 4-degree weather here in Kentucky. Oh, crap.
Bourbon.
What is it? Might be the bourbon, yeah, too. Oh, crap. What the hell was I going to say? Oh, my God. Anyways, jeez. I hate that.
So let me just throw in this. Like I was in a bunch of meetings at the time where they made the move. when I was working for Iconic and we were meeting with Jet Price and on a pretty regular basis, and Daryl Crawl, who coincidentally was from Frisco and also the CFO maybe of the PGA of America,
COO.
COO. So you wonder just how much he had to play in this seemingly, Baltimore Colts style move from Florida to Texas. So uh, that was odd. It was odd when it was happening. I was even asking questions to the people when it was happening, and it was very strange the way that they were quietly doing this and not really willing to talk about it.
I thought of what I was going to say. Sorry. It came back to me.
So you wrote it down so you wouldn't forget again?
I literally had to write it down. I did not want to forget. And I don't want to bore too many of the listeners, but there was 31,000 PGA of America members and associates in the country now.
Moving
There's 41. Yeah, there's 41 PGA sections, sort of equated to states of America. And so in this day and age, and I brought this up in many discussions with some of the PGA leadership now, and I used to be in that role. But the way things are now, when that PGA logo was changed, I thought that was a preeminent 1,000,000% great example of this day and age with technology. That should have been put to a vote for 31,000 people. That I have yet to really see. There makes it literally a handful of PGA members like this logo change. I don't like it. I've never talked to anybody that really liked it. You like it, Andy?
Anybody who's ever been involved in embroidery loves the new logo
Yeah,
and hated the old one.
It's but something like that. The voting, the structure, the governance of the PGA of America is still the way it was in 1916 when it was put together, and it started in the New York City area. So you have 4 PGA sections in basically New York State. 4. Meanwhile, the Pacific Northwest section is something like Washington State, Oregon, Montana, some of Idaho, one of the Dakotas. It's like 12 hours from one end to the other. So it's a little bit crazy how things are out there, but suffice to say, like a lot of things are changing. Hopefully, some good things can happen, but I'm could not be stronger for this voting these days, and maybe voting for the PGA America president for the whole base.
So moving to the next segment here, BE, we could take from this hashtag, don't be that guy, COOs influencing potentially moves of massive 31,000 person associations.
Yes, but
allegedly.
I think the move of putting Derek in there was a good first step to
Derek
Sprague.
Eggers, just wanted to confirm. Yep. Okay, so we're going to move from one PGA thing. Now I've got to bring Andy back in here because he knows this next time. But let's go from one PGA potentially questionable decision to another one, which is the PGA Show's looming. Mr. Hydorn. Sold that.
What are we discussing about the PGA Show?
Well, the PGA Show's coming up, and I just tried to make the segue because the PGA is PGA got rid of the show. They're moving their it's so I'm just trying to connect the dots here.
You've had better segues in the past, but I'm following you.
Mulligan.
Yeah, this will be again.
Are you going?
I'm not going, no.
2 years in a row after going for like 27
Yeah,
years?
I'm out of the business right now.
All right.
I'm not in. I do miss it though, and I get my fix of all the stuff that I would see with the communities that I'm involved with on social media. But look, the show is always a great week for the game. Not just the industry, but for the game. There's people from all over the world that go, and I'll certainly miss not being there again this year.
Tech-laden show, without question. I mean, I'm talking about automated caddies, What was the other one that I saw? Foresight Golf. Big announcement that they're enhancing their simulators. Bobby, what kind of things are you hearing coming up?
I think the expansion of the robotic mowers on the golf courses, that's getting better and more refined. That you could send that thing out in the middle of the night, program it, let it run. So that's something that's getting, I think, more and more adopted or embraced. That'll be more at I think, the National Golf Course Owners Association Business Conference. That'll be the couple of days preceding the show. A demo day on Tuesday, which I haven't been for many years. Now, it's always a good time to see what technology is out there, not only clubs, but other GPS related things, yardage, viewfinders, things like that. Um, teaching instruction side, Brennan and I, we're always checking on that stuff. Where can AI go to help? I still think you're never ever or never ever going to not need that human element. But with the PGA or LPGA professional helping you understand the information, that's going to be a big deal.
BE?
I love the show. However, a personal experience, the gentleman that's taken over Little Linksters, he has another business, which is a golf lifestyle from his Latino heritage clothing and accessory line, and he wanted to go to the show, and he knows it was probably not going to be a possibility, but I just think they need to consider those types of companies and have some kind of better entry level for businesses that can that Andy's saying no.
No,
Do you agree?
I think
The price point's horrible.
it's horrific what
Yeah,
they do to, and the only thing really that people who go to that show are looking to find those companies. They're looking to
right.
find those products.
Yep.
And it's so prohibitive to, I did it for years and years and years. That's where we met, Brendan.
Yeah.
You and I met. I can picture the day that we were
Yep.
standing in our back nine booth and chit-chatting about stuff. And it's just, it's so hard. And it's not just the PGA part of it, it's the Reed exhibition part of it,
Yeah.
which, all the unions and all the other BS that you have to deal with there. It's really, really expensive for the small companies.
Well, a lot of the pricing has really little, not, I shouldn't say little to do with Reed, but more of the Orlando or Orange County Convention Center. I've been there for other expos. I had booths at youth and family expos, and to get internet or to get power, I mean, that stuff is driving the cost up. You're going to bankrupt a young company that feels like they have to be there before they even get off the ground.
Your booth can cost you $5,000 for 3 days, and if you spend less than 25 grand,
Right.
it would be a miracle.
Yeah.
I was literally just going to say that. Yeah.
Which is why, like, a friend of the show and guest panelist, Bill Pressey, just going to walk the floor.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to do something similar 3 days before that at the Golf Business Show. I'm going to hang out probably at the bar, buy some drinks, talk to
Yeah.
people. I don't need to sponsor it.
Just as effective to do it that way.
This is effective. Sorry, Jake Aaron. Hate to tell you, but that's my opinion. Hey, all right. Night or 18th hole. Final thoughts. And I know, Mr. Hydorn, we did not get to Hawaii, but we're gonna save Hawaii till we get to all of Hawaii.
Fair enough.
Okay. So final thoughts. What you got?
So I have two things like I normally do. Um,
So final thoughts, not thought.
yes, we're talking final thoughts. So this is the time of year we're talking about the merchandise show. We're talking about all this new equipment that comes out. And look, I know it's incumbent upon the companies to entice people to buy their new drivers and coming up with reasons of distance. Nobody ever talks about accuracy. Everyone always talks about distance. It's just starting to become a little bit insulting to listen to the sales pitches and the marketing pitches on some of these clubs. I had a social conversation with somebody today that they were talking about. There was a golf.com, I think, did a comparative review of the Callaway driver, the Elite driver, and the new TaylorMade driver. And there was one statement that said that there was a leap in clubhead speed. Clubhead speed. Just think about that for a second. A leap in clubhead speed. That doesn't happen from equipment. You can potentially get a touch more clubhead speed if you have a really light shaft versus another shaft, but a leap in clubhead speed, and it's emblematic of the way that people talk about new equipment and people market new equipment, and it's just kind of silly. So that's it. I'm gonna stick with one.
Got it. Brendan?
My final thought is I loved watching Hideki. I'm a Hideki fan. I know we're going to touch on this in when the Hawaii, uh, whatever you call it, Hawaii trip there for the tour is done. But I too would drop an F-bomb when asked about how good Hideki was this week.
Bobby?
I'm going to put my 1.5 back on the little Woodford Club thing here because I want to say it's been many and many a year since I've been up north. Spent a couple, almost 16, 17 years in Florida. I have almost forgotten how beautiful a golf course is when it is blanketed with snow. In here in Kentucky, we had snow, then ice, half an inch ice, and then more snow. We have more flurries the last couple of days. Tomorrow we have a more storm coming through, and I was out driving around today, and it's breathtaking how beautiful a golf course is when it's just blanketed. I forgot about that. Growing up in New England, you kind of get used to that a little bit. To get a golf course to rest a little bit, I think is something beautiful about that. Just the look of it. I want to go out and take some photos. It's a really really pretty thing. And Andy and I and you, Alan, and Brendan too, grown up in the north. And there's something I think that helps you as a golfer that you can't get out there, and then when it becomes green again, you get that spark in your heart about playing some more. I remember that as a kid, like if you could play every single day of the year, that's one thing. I thought there was something special about snow came, course got to rest, and you couldn't play, and then that first time back out, there's a different type of excitement that you experience.
There is a peacefulness without a doubt. As the operator in me, though, I like it to be perfectly fine, perfect weather, December, January, right up until the last week of February. Then one week of snow, and then everybody forgets that they were, out playing golf all winter, and they come out in droves in March, and we do better financially. But anyway, my shout out is
You sound like Dr. Evil with that plan.
Yeah, I know.
My shout out is actually the appointment of Kevin Kisner. We're talking YouTube creators, we're talking social media personalities. The Kiz, assistant captain of the Ryder Cup. Woohoo! All right, boys. That's all we got this week. We'll catch you next week on Quiet Please, the Golf Podcast.